By the end of this video, you'll understand how a snake can find a mouse in total darkness without using its eyes at all, and why the sense it uses to do it isn't touch, isn't smell, and technically isn't even sight, even though the snake's brain treats it exactly like sight. Pit vipers have a set of organs on their face, positioned between the eye and the nostril, lined with a membrane packed with heat-sensitive receptors. That membrane can detect temperature differences as small as a few thousandths of a degree Celsius from over a meter away. But the part that matters isn't the sensitivity. It's what the brain does with the signal. The thermal information from those pit organs gets routed into the same region of the brain that processes visual information from the eyes, the optic tectum, where it's fused directly with the image coming from the snake's actual eyes into a single combined picture. The snake isn't feeling heat somewhere in the back of its mind, the way you'd feel a hot stove. It's seeing it, layered directly on top of everything else it sees, as one integrated image instead of two separate senses running in parallel. But that's nothing compared to an animal that can identify whether something is food before you'd even consciously register that you touched it. The star-nosed mole has 22 fleshy appendages ringing its nose, covered in more than 25,000 microscopic touch receptors called Eimer's organs. More touch sensors packed into that star than exist across an entire human hand. Living almost entirely underground and functionally near blind, the mole relies on that nose to scan its tunnels by touch, and it can identify whether an object is prey in as little as 8 milliseconds. That's faster than the fastest recorded human reaction time to a physical touch. Touch is usually treated as the slow sense, the one that requires contact and processing time. The star-nosed mole rebuilt it into the fastest identification system of any known mammal by dedicating so much neural real estate to that single patch of skin that the decision doesn't require deliberation at all. It's not thinking about what it touched. It's reacting to it, the same way you'd flinch before you consciously register pain. Compare that to an animal that can lose part of its own brain and simply grow it back. The axolotl can regenerate not just limbs, but portions of its spinal cord, heart tissue, and sections of its brain, without forming scar tissue in the process. When a limb is lost, cells near the wound site don't just patch the injury, they de-differentiate, reverting back into a stem cell-like state, then rebuild the missing structure bone by bone, muscle by muscle, in the correct pattern. This isn't superior healing in the way a deep cut on human skin eventually closes over. Human wound repair defaults to scar tissue, fast but structurally simplified, permanent, and functionally limited. The axolotl's cells do something closer to forgetting what type of cell they currently are, then consulting a positional memory encoded in the surrounding tissue that tells them exactly what's supposed to go where. It's not that the axolotl heals better, it's that its cells never permanently discard the blueprint. But that's nothing compared to an animal that may be able to see the Earth's magnetic field as part of its actual vision. Certain migratory birds, including the European robin, appear to rely on a magnetic compass built from proteins called cryptochromes, located in the retina itself. The leading model for how this works involves quantum mechanics. Light hitting these proteins creates a pair of electrons whose spin states are sensitive to the orientation of Earth's magnetic field, and that sensitivity changes the outcome of a chemical reaction depending on which direction the bird is facing. Some researchers believe this shows up as a visual pattern, a kind of shading or shadow overlaid on what the bird already sees, indicating magnetic north, the same way a heads-up display might. What makes this strange isn't just that birds can navigate by magnetism. Plenty of animals can. It's that quantum effects, the kind normally only stable in physics labs cooled to near absolute zero, appear to be operating reliably inside a bird's eye at body temperature. And no one has fully explained how that coherence survives long enough to be useful. Compare that to an animal that can say two completely different things to two different audiences at the same time using its own skin. Cuttlefish control chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores directly through their nervous system, letting them change color and pattern in under a second, not gradually, like most color-changing animals, but almost instantly, on command. In documented cases, male cuttlefish have been observed displaying one pattern on the side of their body, facing a female for courtship, while simultaneously showing a completely different, female-like pattern on the opposite side, facing a rival male, to avoid triggering a confrontation. This isn't camouflage, and it isn't just decoration. It's a directional communication channel. Two independent signals broadcast simultaneously from the same body to two different recipients, engineered with built-in deniability toward whichever audience isn't supposed to notice. But save the biggest one for last. The mantis shrimp, the same animal whose punch can crack aquarium glass, carries between 12 and 16 types of color photoreceptors, compared to the 3 humans have, arranged along a specialized band of its compound eye that scans across a scene instead of processing the whole image at once. It can also detect linear and circular polarized light, a property of light invisible to virtually every other animal on the planet. And yet, in lab tests, mantis shrimp are actually slower and less precise than humans at distinguishing between similar colors. More receptors didn't make its vision better in the way we define better. It suggests an entirely different processing strategy. Instead of comparing wavelengths against each other the way human trichromatic vision does, the shrimp's brain may be running something closer to instant pattern matching against a fixed set of categories, trading precision for speed, built for split-second recognition in a cluttered, fast-moving reef. It's not an upgraded version of human vision. It's a different architecture entirely, built to answer a different question. That's wild protocol. Follow the channel. Every sense on this planet is solving a slightly different problem, and we've barely scratched the surface. Subscribe to Wild Protocol.